Hollow Triumph, 1948, one of over 1,100 film noirs. This film noir was released as Hollow Triumph, 1948, but it's sometimes called The Scar. This movie had a pool of talent, but didn't seem to rise to the occasion. There are a few reasons for this, including the fact that actor and producer Paul Henreid took over as the director. He tried to make himself sound demanding and tough during the gangster scenes. Still, it came off as more of a bad parody of Edward G. Robinson as Little Caesar, or maybe a Duke Mantee type as Henreid's Casablanca 1942 co-star Humphrey Bogart played in The Petrified Forest 1936. However, the biggest weakness was casting one of the greatest femme fatales, Joan Bennett, as Evelyn Hahn, a jaded big city girl with a heart of gold who only wanted love. This film misuses her talent. The film begins with John Muller, Paul Henreid, being released from prison. They state that Muller studied medicine for 4 years at university. Still, he became a con man practicing psychology without a medical license. They also mention that he pulled other long scams and spent money like a drunken sailor. The parole board sets up a job for him in a medical factory, but he returns to his criminal gang. He uses Little Caesar-type bullying to force the other members of the gang into robbing a casino owned by a gangster. Sarcasm, that never turns out bad. The robbery goes off pretty well, but they do have some trouble shutting off the power for their escape. When the gang runs outside with the loot, they are hit by a generator-powered spotlight. Members of the casino owner's gang open up with gunfire, shooting one robber and causing one of the cars to crash. The men from the crashed car provide the names of the escaped robbers before they are executed by a group of criminals, including Bullseye, played by Jack Webb, in his first role. The boss sends Bullseye and another man to track down the two escaped robbers. Muller's partner flees to Mexico City and is eventually gunned down there by the gangsters. Muller decides he needs to lay low, so he takes the job at the medical factory first offered by the parole board. The job goes as well as can be expected until one day Muller is sent on a delivery errand. Dentist Swagron, played by John Quallen, stops him on the street thinking Muller is Dr. Bartok, a psychologist who works in the same building. The only difference is that Bartok has a scar on his cheek. Being a career-minded criminal, Muller goes directly to Bartok's office where he determines the type of cases the doctor undertakes and the money that can be made. Muller is in the doctor's office when the secretary, Evelyn Hahn, played by Joan Bennett, arrives. She gives Muller a big kiss, but soon realizes he is not the doctor. Muller is so charming in this film that even though he has been caught breaking and entering, he gets Evelyn's digits. Muller begins studying psychology and practicing to play the doctor. After some time passes, Muller contacts Evelyn for a date. She meets for the date, and before long they have a steamy relationship. Muller uses Evelyn to get files and tapes from the doctor's office so he can study to replace the medical man. Out of the blue, Muller breaks off the relationship with Evelyn. She acts tough, but takes it hard. She is jaded, but definitely not a femme fatale. Bullseye and another man are shown hunting for Muller. After more time has passed, Muller takes a secret picture of Dr. Bartok on the street. Once he retrieves the picture from the developing studio, he uses the picture, a mirror, and his medical skills to cut a matching scar onto his cheek. Unknown to Muller, the clerk at the developing studio has flipped the negative, printing the scar on the wrong cheek. Therefore, Muller had cut the scar on the wrong side. All the mirror reflections and mirrors reflecting into other mirrors have tipped the coming of this problem early in the movie. The next phase of Muller's plan is to get a job at the garage that handles the parking of wealthy clients, including Dr. Bartok. One evening, Bullseye and his pal come into the garage to get gas. Muller hides his face and is not recognized. Later, Muller manipulates things so he is alone with Dr. Bartok in the car. Muller murders Bartok with a wrench and throws the body into the river. However, during the process, he realizes the scar is on the wrong side of his face. Muller takes over Dr. Bartok's life and practice, and it seems that Evelyn doesn't realize that there has been a change. As Bartok, he is no longer dating Evelyn. One evening, Muller gets a call from a woman whom he is dating. He doesn't know her name and has to trick her into wearing a carnation so he can identify her. On the date, he and the young woman go to Maxwell's gambling hall, where Bartok is well known. One day, dentist Swagron comes to talk to Muller/Bartok. He never notices the scar is on the wrong side. Muller now knows that he can get away with the scheme. It also shows that Muller is burning through Bartok's assets at a phenomenal rate. Muller's brother, played by Edward Franz, goes to the doctor's office. He doesn't recognize his brother with the scar, but he says the gangsters chasing his brother have been arrested and are no longer after Muller. At last, Evelyn realizes that it is Muller and not Dr. Bartok. She is very upset and leaves the building. Muller gets rid of his brother and waits for Evelyn to return to her apartment. Evelyn says she is leaving for Hawaii. Muller says he will go with her. Evelyn doesn't believe the fraudster or that love can be real. Muller goes to the office to sell the practice as Evelyn heads for the boat. She waits on the railing, hoping Muller will arrive. As he leaves the office, the only person who mentions this scar being on the wrong side is the lowly charwoman played by Mabel Page.
Didn't you used to have that on the other side?
What?
Your, Oh, never mind.
Muller makes it to the dock, but two gangsters are shown following him. They are not from the robbed casino, but from Maxwell's, where Muller/Bartok has amassed a $90,000 gambling debt. They shoot Muller, who dies on the dock, looking towards the boat. Evelyn, brokenhearted, sails away. Henry did a lot of moves with cigarettes in this film. I think he was trying to recapture the double cigarette bit from Now Voyager 1942. If the years were different, I would say Evelyn ended up as a jaded prostitute in Hawaii, played by Donna Reed in From Here to Eternity 1953. This film missed big by not doing the eye cuts like done in the Major Strasser scene at Casablanca 1942, or in the three-way gunfight in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly 1966. You can see my cut at the end of this episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a comment, or a like. Greatly appreciated.
There he is. That's my brother.